Progress on risky business, our 85 Porsche 928 continues. Over the weekend, if you didn't catch the live stream, you can catch the encore presentation of how to replace the radiator in one of these cars with an aftermarket performance unit. This video takes you through how to replace the lower tie rods on the front suspension of these 928s and a safety tip to look out for. Stay tuned. So after spending a lot of time underneath the 928 you see behind me, replacing the engine mounts, the steering rack, boots, and a variety of other things to get the oil leaks fixed, I quickly noticed that the lower ball joints on the front suspension also needed to be replaced. The boots were shot, and since I need to get this car front end alignment, and since those have two adjustments on them for the alignment, it was the right time to put those in before I take the car over to the local Porsche dealership to get the car aligned. It's a fairly straightforward process, basically hand tools and a basic tie rod extractor. So let me take you through what's involved. In order to get better access to the lower ball joint, I wanted to take the wheel off and work on it at the height you see. So in order to get the wheel off, I used a scissors jack from my Boxster. That block is a rubber block from my Quick Jack. That's a nice slotted block that fits in the pinch weld. So even though that's not the jacking point per se for the Porsche 928, you'll see what I do here. Then I realized, all right, one step better would be to turn the wheel. So here I am climbing into the top of the car using the wheel. I have to bump the key and throw the wheel in. It's an interesting design on the lower tie rod with the 928. Cast into the front wheel backing plate is a stop for the tie rod. And I was wondering why. I've never seen this before on a car, at least the ones I've worked on. And this metal cap goes above the lower ball joint cap. I realized on the passenger side when I did it that you could actually use the ball joint nut. As you start backing that off, that cap presses into that boss on the casting and actually helps separate the ball joint from the steering connector. Interesting design, but I did not realize that at this point I was on a quest to use my tie rod extractor. So here I am taking that cap out, and you'll see it here. It's a pretty significant cap there. It's meant to do exactly how I described it. Now in this first part, I went to put the tie rod extractor in, and not thinking, the way I had it set up, I realized later that this tool is reversible to make it work for the situation I'm doing this. I did fuddle around with this a little bit and using the persuader even to get it on. So when I couldn't do that, I made the bad decision to loosen the other parts of the ball joint. A dumb decision, and I'll show you why in a minute here. Now, sandwiched between those, that's a good shot. You see the nut to take these off. Those discs in the middle are the camber and caster adjusters. And that's when you're doing a four-wheel alignment. You can move those with an Allen wrench. You loosen those nuts and then move those Allen wrenches, and that's what brings the adjustment in. These took my extra big breaker bar to get these the nuts off. Then it was just a matter of using my socket wrenches to get these. But here you see me. This is not a good idea until after you get that tie rod extractor done. So here I am reversing my tie rod extractor tool. And that, folks, is why you leave the ball joint bolted up as you're putting the extractor on, because that thing went flying. Luckily, that went the other way. That would have hurt pretty bad, actually, so I'm lucky. All right, now it's just a matter of putting the new ball joint in. Here I am underneath the car. I did, you can see I raised the ramp a little bit, move the camera angle. There's a shot of me holding the two eccentrics that will fit between the ball joint and the final cap. I did use I didn't show it in the video here, but I used a center punch to mark the outline of the underside of the wishbone, lower wishbone, and didn't really need to, because when I removed the old ball joint, the aluminum was clean, so it gave a nice outline, and I was able to use that. So there, it's a matter of holding up the assembly. You can see how loose that is right now. Getting that eccentric up enough that you can get the bolt back on, and doing that for the other adjustment. And at that point, it was just a matter of getting everything close to what I needed. And here I am. Now that everything's close to that, getting actual the ball joint end fits on the steering connector pretty close to snuff. Put in there. Now you see me moving the eccentrics, and that is actually moving the lower tie rod in and out, side to side. Once I had the outline pretty close to where it was, I went ahead and tightened everything up. Those two bolts, so here I am, it's just a matter of playing. You can see it moving. It's quite a fascinating setup, actually. So again, I wanted to get that as close as I could to where it was. And it's just a matter of, I only have to drive the car 2 miles to get it to the Porsche dealership. Between this and the tie rods I did a month or so ago, the mechanic's probably going to have a good laugh on how bad the alignment is. And but at least I saved a lot in labor, and it was just a matter of them doing the front end alignment. So a little bit of playing here, and it's more inexperience in working those adjustments. So everything's there. One thing my camera did not catch was the ball joint bolt going up through. I tightened that to 119 foot-pounds, while the eccentrics I tightened to 88 foot-pounds. So there you have it. That was just the driver's side. No need to show you the passenger side. It was basically a mirror image of this. The only difference I did was I moved the car. Once I had this back and reassembled, I took the car outside, brought it back, backed it into the rack so that I could work on that side. It's just easier to work in my garage from that side whenever I can. Now I have an appointment set up with the Porsche dealership for early next week to have them do a 4-wheel alignment. Taking out the engine mounts and the cross member and the steering rack, all of the alignment is completely off. So the car is in need of new tires. These have aged out, even though the tread looks good. So before I even think about putting a new tire on, I need to get the car realigned on all 4 wheels back to factory specs. So now that I know the car is in reliable, drivable shape, I'll move forward with working on the cosmetics, because it is today's St. Patrick's Day, actually, and I'm going to use the balance of the month to get the aforementioned tires and get the car cleaned up to make it look prettier for the upcoming Cars and Coffee events that we have scheduled in April. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and if you haven't done so, I encourage you to press the subscribe button. And even more importantly, if you haven't checked out our main website, guyswithrides.com, I think we've put together a nice community of daily class of finds based on our findings on Craigslist. We have nothing to do with those sales. But it's a great daily content. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.